You're listening to an episode of the Abigail Pugh podcast with, you guessed it, Abigail Pugh. I'm an introverted mama who took my online business from 0 to 7 figures in 15 months selling my own digital products on social media. And guess what? I did it all with my 3-year-old daughter no less than 3 feet away from me at all times. Now I'm bringing you everything I've learned about building a wildly profitable online business that supports your life while allowing you to truly live it. Get ready for raw, honest conversations with entrepreneurs making thousands per month selling their own digital products and people just like you who ditch self-doubt to create the life they've always wanted. If you're ready to make more money, have more impact, and still have time for the things that matter most, you're in the right place. Grab your sneakers, head out on your hot girl walk, and let's dive in. Hello and welcome back to the podcast. I am slightly nervous for today's episode because I haven't done a solo episode in a hot minute, and I always kind of psych myself out of these because they are easy for me to blow off since it's just me recording, right? But we're here and I'm doing it because it goes live tomorrow. So here we go. I actually spoke at my first event for 2024 this past weekend, and it was amazing. I didn't throw up on stage, so that's a win for me. But I get so nervous for in-person events, and I almost always get like this raging migraine after from the tension and the stress that I just like work upon myself, right? It's great. It's lovely. And of course, this event was no different, but I am now in the migraine hangover phase, which if you get migraines, you know exactly how this feels. So I might sound a little bit lower energy than I usually am today, but that's why. So at this event, I did make a few new friends, and I even planned a girls' trip with them, which is very out of character for me as an introvert, but I don't know, it just felt right. And all that to say, it reminded me how much power there is in community and doing hard things alongside other amazing humans, not by yourself, because entrepreneurship honestly can feel so darn lonely, and it really sucks in those moments. So today felt like the perfect time to talk about the hard stuff that not many people are talking about when it comes to owning an online business and selling digital products, because we all go through these crappy situations. And I want you to know that you are not alone in them, right? So first one, I kind of mentioned it above, is loneliness, right? And as someone who's introverted, I feel like I went into entrepreneurship kind of like grateful I was an introvert, right? Because it's very easy for me to like put my head down, focus, do what I need to do, get it done. But the more years that I've been an entrepreneur, the more that the loneliness is kind of getting to me, right? Because I have my like childhood best friends, and not all of them are entrepreneurs. And it's like, it's kind of hard to understand what an entrepreneur is going through if you're not an entrepreneur. So it's been really hard for me to make friends, and we've moved several times. And I don't know, at this event this last weekend, it just reminded me how important like networking and making friends with people who are kind of going through what you are also going through is, it's just so helpful. And it makes me feel like I'm not totally alone in this. And they understand that if they text me and if I don't answer for 2 weeks, it doesn't mean I hate them. It just means that I'm in go time for my business and my brain doesn't have the capacity for more, right? Whereas someone who is maybe not an entrepreneur would think that I'm just like ghosting them and I don't want to be their friend. And I never want people to feel that. So this event, this networking event, I was so nervous for it. It was so much fun. And like I said, I planned a trip with some people that I met there, and I'm just really excited to kind of like foster those relationships and keep putting myself out there. So if you have the opportunity to go to an event or just like a networking night, anything where you can hang out with people who are in the phase of business that you are in and understand like your struggles that you are going through, I feel like it will help you so much. And you guys, I have something coming for this, which I'm so excited about. I can't give any more details yet because I'm still figuring out all the details and like nailing it down. But just know a community is coming because I think we all need this more than we think. So next thing this is one of my least favorite parts about being an online entrepreneur and selling digital products is chargebacks. Now, if you don't know what a chargeback is, you probably will soon enough if you sell digital products. It's basically where somebody buys your product and then, they're either unhappy with it or they didn't read the terms and conditions that said there's no refunds and they're mad. So then they go to the bank and they say, hey, I want to charge back on this. I want to say, hey, this was fraudulent, right? And it's so defeating to get those. And I have a very, very low percentage of chargebacks, which I'm so grateful for. And in a minute, I'll kind of talk to you about what I do to prevent them, but they suck. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, right? You get them, you see that notification, and it literally just makes your heart like sink, right? I feel like my heart like sinks into my stomach whenever I get them, and they totally suck. But at the end of the day, whenever I get a chargeback, I do a few things then, and then I do some things before to protect myself. So with digital products, I am very clear that like I do not issue refunds. So they need to be very sure that this is the product that they want. I also have it in my terms and conditions that they have to check a box to agree with when they are checking out, right? That they agree not to put a charge back and that they also agree that they understand that there are no refunds on this product, right? So those are some things that I do beforehand to kind of protect myself. I will link the terms and conditions that I use for my digital product in the show notes. They are from someone called Alyssa. She's the legal doer. She's an actual online lawyer for, people like you and me, digital online entrepreneurs. So she's amazing. And I use those. So that's kind of what I do beforehand. Now, when they actually come through, I always email the person and say, hey, I would love to talk to you about the chargeback you issued. Is there any issue with the digital product that you got? And you guys, probably about 50% of the time, there's been a miscommunication, right? It's happened several times now where it's like the spouse saw the charge, they didn't recognize it, and they put the charge back in. And like the wife is the one who bought it and the husband did the charge back because he didn't recognize it. So always make sure you reach out to the person and make sure that they knowingly meant to issue that chargeback. Because like I said before, it's happened several times now where there was just a little bit of miscommunication on their part and it resolved really quickly. So chargebacks suck. They're going to happen. You really just want to make sure that you have your terms and conditions that are super solid. You have it clear on your sales page that you don't offer refunds, and then reach out to the person if you do get a chargeback and try to communicate with them. And most platforms will allow you to like submit evidence for these chargebacks. So always make sure you are doing that. If you use a Stan store, they submit it for you, but I still always submit as much as possible because I want to make sure that I win that with my bank and make sure that not a lot of chargebacks are happening in the future. Another thing you can really do is make sure that you're marketing in an ethical and honest way, right? Like don't promise the world if that's not what you're going to give them in your digital product, right? So chargebacks suck. They're going to happen. And that's how I handle them. Next, and I feel like this one is definitely more openly talked about now, but like the hurtful comments. And I'm not talking about the troll comments, right? Because I think there's a difference. Like there are sometimes comments from trolls that I get where I'm like, they're not following me. They have no idea who I am. Like I give them zero power over those. Like that's an immediate block, bless, and delete. But sometimes I get hurtful comments and it's not super often. Honestly, I'm not going to lie. I have the best community ever. And I feel like I've done a really good job of like attracting people that vibe with me. So I don't get them a lot, but every once in a while, someone will say something that is just so hurtful, right? And I know it's not true, but you go down this like spiral of what if it is true? What if I do suck? What if this product does suck? And I'm just going to tell you right now, the product doesn't suck. Most of the time, comments like that say more about the person that's saying them than they do about you, right? And I constantly have to remind myself of that. I always take into account what they say. Like if someone gives me bad feedback on something, I take it into account. I go look at the product. I make sure that like it delivers on what I say it does. But at the end of the day, like you can't make everyone happy and you're going to kill yourself trying if you think that you can make everyone happy on the internet. Like it's just not possible. So my motto for the hurtful comments, take them into account, look over the product, make sure, it's not a truthful comment because sometimes maybe there was a mistake. Maybe you didn't deliver fully on what you said you would. And use that to your advantage. Go make your product better or add to it. But at the end of the day, you have to realize that it's saying more about them than it is about you. Now, kind of piggybacking off of that one, harsh feedback from clients or students. This one literally sends me into like it's a black hole. I take them to heart so dearly. And it really sucks when people don't feel like your product delivers what you think it does. But again, the same thing here, like take their feedback, take it and apply it to what they said they either didn't like or didn't work for them. But then again, just know that like you aren't going to please everyone. And if you try to please everyone, you're going to please no one, right? So at the end of the day, like I have to build my products and my offers the way that I think people will be served by them the best, right? And I ask for feedback after things, like after I do my Rich Girl challenges, right? In Rich Girl Reels, sometimes I will ask for feedback. And sometimes the feedback like hurts my feelings so bad. And I'm grateful they give it. I ask for it. I literally ask them for it. And it's not that it's like mean feedback. It's just feels harsh to me because they are telling me they want it done a different way. But I kind of have to like let go of my pride and realize that everyone learns in different ways and I can take their feedback and make my product as amazing as possible. But again, like I'm not ever going to be able to make things perfect for every single person out there. So just keeping that in mind. And again, when you get feedback, take that and make your product better and then kind of release it. I find that sometimes I like hold on to feedback so closely and I just like think about it every single day and I like wake up thinking like, oh, how can I make this better? And it sends me into a spiral, right? Don't do that. Don't be like me when you get that feedback. Take it, adjust your product and move on. Now, the next one is not as serious, but I feel like everyone struggles with this. And even as someone where like, this is my job, running out of content ideas. I think a lot of people think that because this is my job and because this is what I love, like I never run out of content ideas. And that's just totally not true. I run out of content ideas all the time. Like you wouldn't believe how many times I'm like, okay, I got nothing else in me. We're done. We're all done. And then I take 2 days off of social media and I'm fine and I come back excited and ready to go. So that's usually my suggestion is to take some time away from social media because I think like the more content you're seeing of other people, the more you're just like constantly analyzing like, oh, how can I make that work for me? The more exhausting it becomes. And then the more like watered down your content is, right? Some of my best content comes from like everyday encounters that I'm seeing. And I'm like, oh my gosh, wow, like this totally applies to what I'm teaching. Or at the event that I spoke at last weekend, like I got so many content ideas from people just talking and talking about their experiences and like what they resonated the most with, right? So today I went in to Instagram. I spent about 25 minutes maybe looking at the new trending audios, looking at kind of what was trending. And like I have my reels planned for the week. I know what I'm going to do, right? So I think taking a step back when you do run out of content ideas can be really helpful. And again, like I mentioned before, something is coming to help you guys with this. I promise I am working so hard on getting something ready for you guys that will help you never run out of content ideas, right? Because it sucks. It sucks to wake up and know like, hey, I have no idea what to post as my money-making reel today. Awesome. Great. Like it's just a crappy feeling. And I don't want any of you to feel like that anymore. So last but not least, and I feel like this one is kind of hard for me to talk about because I still do it so much. And that is self-sabotage. And the way that I self-sabotage personally is putting things off. So like putting things off that I know I need to do and I know they're going to help my business and I know they're going to help it grow. I get into this like deep, dark pit of like self-sabotage. Like, no, you can't do this today, or no, this is not something that you need to do today. Just put it off. Just put it off. Your brain can't handle that today. And self-sabotage has been something that I have dealt with for years. I'm not kidding. Like there have been so many times in my life where I've had an opportunity to like jump and seize something. And I always find a way not to. And that's been like my biggest hold up as an entrepreneur with everything that I do is just like finding ways to like talk myself out of things and put them off and sabotage success that like I know I can do and I know I can impact people and change their lives, but I always find a way to tell my brain that I can't. And something that's been working really well for me is kind of planning out what I need to do kind of on like a monthly basis, a weekly basis, and then a daily basis. Because what I used to do was like, okay, for all of March, I need to do all these things. And then I would look at that, to-do list on, the first day of March and feel so overwhelmed and feel like there's no way I can do all this. Like, I'm just not going to do any of it. And it just felt so stressful for me. And I found myself falling into these patterns of self-sabotaging over and over and over again. So what's been working well for me is like I said, a monthly calendar, everything that I need to get done, and then breaking that by week, and then breaking it up by day, and then getting my most important ones done first. Because something else I do is put off the harder task. And then it's like 4 p.m. I haven't done what I needed to do that day and I feel crappy, even though I did a bunch of other smaller tasks because those were like quick wins that I could get done. I put off the things that really genuinely needed to get done. So if you take anything away from this episode, go do your number one task that you needed to get done today, right now. Get it done. Do not put it off. We are not going to self-sabotage anymore, you guys. We are done with that. We are going to work ourselves out of that. And I am going to do it with you too, right? We're doing this. So you guys are amazing. I can't wait to see you next week. We have an amazing guest next week, and I will see you over on my Instagram stories. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. If you learned anything from this episode, I would love it if you could share it over on your Instagram stories and tag me at Abigail Pugh. Until next time, love you, mean it.